we'll just kind of go through like our history. You can interrupt me if you want at any point. But we'll go through our history as far as like how we got here, Nashville's history, kind of the state of the union as it changes every single year. It's kind of honestly no different, in my opinion, than real estate. Nashville real estate changes pretty quickly around here, and so does short-term rentals. So with that being said, to give you guys a quick history of us, these are also the first time Taryn's seen any of these slides, so this is going to be extra entertaining. We're both licensed realtors. This is how we know Pat over here. We have been licensed for 18 and 19 years respectively in the Middle Tennessee area, so we've seen a lot of stuff go down in this, like from market explosions in 2008, 2010, back to rebuilding Nashville and whatnot, back to Broadway becoming Broadway like crazy over the last 10 years. We through that process roughly about 10 years into being licensed. Quick story on how it started. We accidentally, truly started a property management company, completely by fluke. I sold a client of mine a property in Green Hills. Which is kind of appropriate that we're here today. Kind of funny, it's literally like 3 streets that way. Sold him a property in 2015, and he's a professional baseball player at the time. So he and his wife, they're young, early 20s. They travel 9 months out of the year for spring training, for all the baseball games, all the things. And they basically said at closing, they're like, hey, we're young, hip, and trendy. We would love to manage or have someone manage our property on Airbnb while we are gone. Bless you. And it was like, do you know anybody that could help? And I said, no, I don't, but I've got a network of people at my office, and there was an office not to be named. It's not the one that Pat and I are. So I sent out an inter-office email to every single realtor in the office, which was a couple hundred agents at that time. And I had a few little replies looking for a manager that specializes in short-term rentals, because it's very different than long-term rental management. And Taryn, lucky for her, was one of the replies. And she said to me, like, hey, my husband and I, this is my impression of you.
Thanks.
Hey, my husband and I, we have a rental above our garage. It's a garage apartment, been doing it for a while. And then this was the first lie she ever told me. She said, it's easy. You should do it. And I bought what she was selling. And I said, I'll do it with you. Do you want to do it? And so that kind of accidentally, organically happened. And now, today, we manage around 150 homes in Davidson County, all over the county, different areas of town. They're not all downtown. Most of them, honestly, are kind of in the East Nashville area. I'd say half of them are over in that direction. But they're literally all over Davidson County. We typically don't go outside of Davidson County just because of the time it takes to get there and turn the property over and whatnot. With that being said too, it's kind of also accidentally grown to we average about 5,500 different groups of people per year that we host. That is, to be clear, not 5,500 people, it is different groups of people. It is a lot, and you name it, we have seen it. It is very wild. Most of the time it can be quiet, but at a volume like that, there's always some wild story taking place or something crazy happening. But honestly, I would say we probably have it's less than 3% of the time do we have issues with stays. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions of Airbnb is people coming in town and partying and whatnot. At our volume, again, we're seeing it, but it is literally less than 3% of the time. So you have a 97% success rate, which is pretty incredible, to be honest with you. We usually produce about $7.4 million in gross rents on average per year. That can fluctuate a little bit here and there based on the market. This year's market is interesting, which we will also chat about too. But then through that process, and I'm sorry, you're kind of hearing my story all over again, but we've literally accidentally created the management company. Through that, we started hitting roadblocks with any business. You try to figure out how do you unfunnel a funnel. And one of our issues was laundry. How do you take a home that sleeps 12 people, how do you turn that over from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.? We have 5 hours to clean a 4,000 square foot house. It's got a bunch of beds, a bunch of laundry, a bunch of linens. How do you manage that? How do you do that? And from there, we ended up creating a commercial laundry facility. We have some of the most rare equipment in the state of Tennessee in this facility. We actually just doubled the amount of laundry equipment that we have in January of this year. So it's pretty wild. So going after our 10-year anniversary, which was last month, we actually split the company into now 2 separate companies. So we have the management company, and we also have now a commercial laundry facility that services not only our homes, but also a bunch of high-end hotels downtown. So if you ever want to stay downtown, just know we probably washed your sheets. And if they don't look good, don't tell us. So yeah, so that's kind of like the I guess, 10-year synopsis of anything. Is there anything you would like to add?
No, that was great.
Okay, awesome. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, so now it's going to get really boring. I'm going to try not to make it boring, but rules and regulations. Basically, we literally started this company in February 2015. March of 2015 is when the first bill got introduced, and Tara and I are like, what? Oh my goodness, what is going on? So we basically had to jump on it, try to figure out what the heck is going on. It's always been a constant fight with Metro, not understanding. You guys need to target the people who are doing this incorrectly. We are a property management company. We are here to not be a bad actor. Please, let's target the people that are bad actors. But they treat everyone like as a whole. And that's really, really hard because they'll introduce a law that might punish Patrick because Patrick over here is doing something bad, and it actually affects every single other person here that's not doing something bad. So it's been a constant 10-year fight, and it actually has been the most attacked legislation in the last 10 years. It's short-term rentals. I can't even begin to tell you how many laws have passed in the last 10 years, or even how many have been introduced, but it's a lot. We actually did just recently have a law that was introduced, I think back in September too, so it's not like we're just stopping, it's constantly evolving. In short, takeaways, bullet points are you absolutely must have a permit in order to operate a short-term rental in Davidson County. It does not matter if you live there as your primary residence, it does not matter if you don't live there as your primary residence, you have to have a permit. Do not approach this as, I'll just throw it out there and see what happens, and then whenever they call me to the carpet and slap my hand about it, then I'll deal with my permit. Is way too late at that point. This is treated absolutely like you are guilty until proven innocent. It is not the opposite. So you absolutely must abide by the law, get the permit. Your address automatically shows up in a system that Metro Nashville recognizes, so don't try to get funny. Operating without a permit could cause a ban of that address. So if you did decide to try to get funny with it, and Taryn over here decides to list her house, you would never. But try to list your house without a permit, and then you get busted for it, and you have to shut down. Even if you decided, I'm gonna sell my house to the next person, and that person can go get a permit and be happy and married, that is not how it works. It is actually a 3-year ban that is attached to that property address, so you as a buyer, you still have to deal with the situation that this person created. And then there's a lot of disclosure that takes place, all kinds of stuff. Short version, please get a permit, please. Let's see, so now there are only 2 types of permits that are allowed. Again, owner-occupied and non-owner-occupied. Previously, we had 3 different types of permits that were out there, literally type 1, type 2, and type 3. They limited how many permits you could have in each census tract. Does anybody know where their census tract starts and stops? Nope. It is very interesting to go and try to figure out what census tract you're in and figure out how many permits are within your census tract, and then there's a cap on it. It was an absolute nightmare. They went with that legislation for a couple of years, finally did away with that and said, we're just gonna break these into 2 categories. Either you live there and it's your primary residence and you get an owner-occupied permit, or you don't live there and you live somewhere else, whether it's Franklin or California, it doesn't matter. That is a non-owner-occupied type of permit. They are both treated slightly differently with regard to obtaining that permit, which, don't worry, we'll talk about it. But that's basically the short version of kind of where we are now. Previously permitted homes are grandfathered in. So for example, if Tara did get a permit 10 years ago under the original law, and then under today's law, she actually is not eligible to get the type of permit that she is. As long as she is actually renewing that permit every single year without fail, she's fine. She can keep doing what she's doing, but the minute that she forgets to renew her permit every single year, the one time she forgets, that permit is null and void and you have to re-permit. But guess what? You're re-permitting under today's laws. So it's very, very important, and that's one of the things that we do. We track all 150 of these properties and all these permits. And every single month we sit down and say who needs to be renewed this month. We renew them on behalf of our homeowners, because at the end of the day, if I rely on you to renew your permit and you don't do it, you lose business, and so do we. So we are actually tracking this and renewing these things on your behalf every single year. It's just small little minor details like that that really go into paying attention to what's happening. Permits, yay, more boring information. So there's a maximum of 4 bedrooms allowed in Davidson County, period. There's no 2 ways to cut it. If you have 2 houses that you own that are side by side, both of which are 4-bedroom homes, you can do we call it a parent and child type of listing. A parent listing is one listing that is an 8-bedroom, which is both of these together, and you can do your single ones because these 2 are permitted. But if you have one of these houses that happens to be a 5-bedroom home or even a 6-bedroom home, and you have it listed as a 5-bedroom or a 6-bedroom, it is a violation of your permit. It is not allowed. Doesn't mean you can't rent it. It just means you need to change your listing, and you can only advertise it as a 4-bedroom home max, period. That is it. So that's one of the weird little nuances there. In Metro Nashville, don't worry, they will call you about it, and they will give you an opportunity to change it, and if you don't change it, then joke's on you. But they will give you an opportunity to change stuff like that. They won't just automatically revoke your permit. You also have to, when applying for a permit, you also have to make sure that proof of all property taxes have been paid. I think that's kind of self-explanatory there. You have to provide a floor plan from a licensed architect, an engineer, or a home inspector showing egress and smoke detectors. Taryn's partnered with a home inspector in town who comes in, and we actually go there first, make sure the smoke detectors are in the right spot, so he just goes in one time. That inspector goes in for a flat fee. He draws out the floor plan of the house, notates where the doors and windows are for egress purposes, and also the smoke detectors, and boom, we're done, we're good to go. So it's a lot easier than you actually think if you find the right person that can actually knock that out for you. You also have to provide a proof of liability insurance. That is very easy to do. It's $1 million policy. It's really not that expensive. But in the event that someone decides to jump off your front porch and break their arm, you've now got coverage. We've got coverage as a management company, and wherever they booked from, whether that is Airbnb or VRBO, they also have a general liability policy. And then all 3 of these guys get to fight it out and decide who's going to take this claim, whose fault is it, and who's going to pay for that. But you are required to have that policy in place as an owner. You also have to provide a notarized affidavit certifying that all information is truthful. Pretty easy. Notifying all adjacent property owners via certified mail. That's a fun one. So like here, you have to literally look and see who's all around you, and there's a bunch of people that live in that complex right over there, so you have to notify everybody. It can be 3 people, it can be 300 people. It really just depends, but it has to all be certified letters. You're not asking for permission to do this. You were just telling them, hey, I want to let you know this property located at 123 Apple Street is going to be a short-term rental. That's it. If you miss any of them, when you turn all this stuff into Metro Nashville, they will tell you who you're missing. They'll give you an opportunity to go and notify all of the people involved in that particular portion of the transaction. Then you tell them, okay, I've done this, here's proof that I sent out these certified letters, and then that portion is done. You also have an HOA certification document that you have to notarize and supply, and then you also have to have, only for an owner-occupied permit, proof of residence. And don't worry, we'll go over that too. But this sounds crazy, this sounds wild. As part of our services, if you come to us and you need management services, we handle this for you. And we just say, hey, I need you to go call this person and get insurance. Awesome, now I've got your certification. Hey, I need you to go get these documents notarized. Oh, you don't know where the notary is? We have someone on staff come in the office, something like that. We will literally hold your hand through this whole process. This is probably, besides furnishing a house, if you're gonna do that yourself, I think this is probably the biggest pain in the butt part of it, of onboarding, but other than that, we actually handle all of that stuff. So, I don't know who this gal is at all. I just saw this picture and thought, she looks like an owner-occupied person. So I just put her up there. But talking about specifically owner-occupied types of permits, again, you must reside in the home as your primary residence. As I mentioned before, no funny business. Please don't do funny business because it makes it bad for everybody. Because those are the ones that make the news and make it seem like everybody's doing funny business, and that's not what's happening. You have to provide, this is when it gets kind of nuts, as part of the owner-occupied permit, you have to provide 2 documents from this particular list. A Tennessee driver's license, another form of Tennessee ID if you have that, a voter registration card, a W-2 or a 1099, or a vehicle registration or title, all of which reference the property address that you are doing. You can't have your Franklin driver's license and try to do a property in Davidson County. Like, you need to actually reside in that home. Additionally, no funny business. Don't put it in that property name. Don't say, I'm gonna give you my driver's license, I'm gonna give you my voter registration card for this rental address, we're gonna get permitted, and then a month later, I'm just gonna change it back to my Franklin address. Don't do that. They are literally watching you. They will catch it. It might take 6 months, it might take a year and a half for them to catch up with you, but they will find it. They are on a hunt to shut down these bad actors, and I support it. I mean, absolutely I support it. So, no funny business, guys. That's the takeaway from today, okay? And then finally, you also have to provide 2 documents from the other list, which is auto insurance, life insurance, homeowner's insurance, a paycheck or pay stub, a bank statement, or employer verification of address. Again, all of these referencing the address. You have to have 4 items that you are now turning. This is a relatively new update. Previously, they only, correct me if I'm wrong, only required 2 from the first list. Yeah. Now they're making you double down because people have been doing funny business, and they are making you provide more information. So really, for all intents and purposes, if you live in the home, you're good, you're great, it's awesome. You can totally do this. But if you're trying to kind of like bend rules and do all that kind of stuff, it's pretty risky. And to think about putting $30,000 into furnishing a whole house and to roll the dice on this just to have it shut down 60 days later, like, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. Whether you have the money or not, we could do a lot more fun with $30,000 somewhere else, so let's not do that. When it comes to non-owner occupied, we don't own this house, to be very clear, but could we talk about owning this house? Because that would be awesome. I would probably never rent it. Non-owner occupied permits. You do not have to reside in this home at any point at all. Again, one other note too about the owner occupied permits. There is not a law that states you have to stay in that home X amount of days per year. So think about Nashville. Nashville's Music City, USA. We have so many people that are traveling because they're musicians. There is no requirement saying, oh, you owner occupied, you must live in this house or must sleep in this house 300 days out of the year. There's nothing in play with that. Non-owner occupied, same situation. Obviously though, you do not have to reside in the home at any point. However, it is limited to mostly condos and townhomes only. That is a big thing. It is not like Taryn's house cannot be treated as, oh, well, I don't live here, I'm just gonna go get a non-owner occupied permit. That is not the case at all. Metro has actually really whittled that stick down as far as who can actually have an investor type of permit at a particular property. It actually kind of mostly, at first, it's kind of like this weird little decision tree of if this then that, and then if this then that type of situation. But it starts with zoning. So you look at the zoning of your particular house, 99% of single family homes that everybody lives in are zoned residential of some sort. That automatically removes them from the scenario of being able to go an investor type of permit. So basically most of those are owner occupied types of permits. So the first swipe to eliminate yourself from being able to get the investor permit is the zoning. Then from there, you need to figure out, oh wait, it's a condo or townhome. There's a 100% chance that there's an HOA in place. That HOA, those guidelines overrule what Metro has in place. So just because it meets all the boxes and checks all the boxes for Metro, doesn't mean that, oh, sorry HOA, I'm gonna do this because Metro Nashville said so. That is not the case. Your HOA is the one that ultimately decides, are we gonna allow short-term, are we not gonna allow short-term? Which kind of leads into the conversation about real estate now. Like, you might have noticed there's a lot of development going on in North Nashville, like Buena Vista area, all of this like Metro North, like all of this whole area of town, and it's because of the zoning. Metro Nashville has come through and as they've said, hey, we believe that areas that are zoned like RN20, which means 20 units per acre, or RN40, which means 40 units per acre, that R stands for residential. So just because it's a townhome that happens to be RM20, that has 20 townhomes on it, and the HOA says it's okay, it's zoned RM20, which means residential 20 units an acre, and you cannot do an investor permit there. Let's see, what else? So basically, in short, it can be very confusing. And we always tell people, realtors, homeowners, everybody alike, send us a message with your property address. We will tell you exactly what you are eligible for or not eligible for, and you can go from there and make your own decision. It can be very, very, very confusing. Quickly, this is real boring. Return on investment. We've broken down Nashville into 3 different areas of town. Thankfully, I've only used tier 1 in here, not all 3 tiers. So we have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. And it's basically what you think. You want to be in tier 1 because tier 1 is the best spot to be in. Typically, it's the closest to downtown because it is in the most high demand area. And then you drill down deeper. Just because you're close to downtown doesn't mean you're in a great area, especially for rentals. So then you can actually, you can't see it, but we have all the areas listed out. So like for an example of a tier 1, we're talking 12 South, Hillsborough Village, Germantown, East Nashville, the Gulch, downtown, and Hope Gardens, which is also kind of part of Germantown. Those particular areas, people will send us an email again, and they'll say, hey, what can I be permitted for? Can you also send me a pro forma on what to expect for my home on an annual basis? So we do that, we pull it up, we tell them what type of permit they can get, and then send them a tier 1 to 4 bedroom type of pro forma so they can kind of see what their expectations are. There is a swing and a range in top line revenue for a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4 bedroom unit. They're not all treated the same. A 1 bedroom, you can have 400 square feet and you can only sleep 2 people. Another 1 bedroom, literally down the street, can have 1,200 square feet and can sleep 6 people. Those 2 are not treated the same even though they are both a 1 bedroom unit. It is truly, it comes down to heads and beds, and it comes down to the types of finishes that are in this house, the types of wall murals and crazy weird stuff that people want to post online that I am officially aging out of, 100%. So you'll have a range, you'll see up in the top corner up here, it's really small, but you have a range of 28,000 to 34,000 as an annual top line revenue coming in on a 1 bedroom. And you'll see as we move through these, yes?
How can you guarantee that the people that are renting it aren't going to destroy it?
So that kind of goes back to my initial statement of we have about 3% of the time do we have issues with people. So 97% of the time, you're not going to have any problems and they're not going to destroy the house. I would also go as far as to say in 10 years, we might have had, it's less than 5 times that we've had someone do more than $1,500 of damage.
Yes, I was just telling that story yesterday. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been less than 5 times, and we've
Yeah.
posted thousands,
Tens of
tens of
thousands.
thousands of stays.
Yeah,
in 10
it's
years.
very rare, but in the event that it does happen to your property, there's a good chance it's not gonna happen at a 1 bedroom, and there's a better chance that it's gonna happen at a 12 bedroom, or a 4 bedroom with 12 people that are just partying for the weekend and wooing and bacheloretting and bachelor partying and
Do you
doing
get a
that
big
stuff.
deposit, or do you have
So
insurance that covers it?
that's where the insurance comes in place, where you have the $1 million liability. So depending on where they booked is basically tells you kind of where you go to make that insurance claim. We also do, I'm not supposed to call it an insurance policy, but I'm going to just for conversation's sake. We do a self-insurance policy as well, where every single guest pays, for this example, $30 per stay that goes into a pot. And it's easier for us to pay you $1,000 out of our pot than to make that insurance claim. So we call it a damage waiver. So we essentially pony up like $20,000, $30,000 a year across the board on small little things like broken coffee cups, all the way up to, I need to repaint your house kind of situation. But it is rare when it happens, and if it's a big claim, then we definitely go after insurance and make the claim. We kind of weigh the options of staff time, our time, and can everybody sleep at night?
Well,
Those
and
about it.
we also have different things in place for guests. We don't rent to locals. That's a big thing. We don't, especially one-night bookings to locals. That screams party all over.
No
it.
last minute bookings.
No last minute bookings so we don't do that. We've learned our lesson in 10 years on those types of bookings. We have,
You've got these bachelorette parties, which are huge here.
but generally, I mean, I like to tell our people, the new homeowners that I meet with, generally, people are really good human beings and they take good care of your place overall.
Yeah.
We have noise aware monitors in all of our houses, so we have quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. So it monitors the decibel levels in every single one of our properties. You know, if those things are going off for a while, you know, it sends the guests a text message and asks them to calm down. At 30 minutes, it calls them and sends them a text message, and then after that, we're sending out security to, you know, break that party up, kind of a thing. So overall, we have those things in place to really, you know, help fight those issues that people have. And we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so someone can always call and get somebody. If, you know, if a neighbor is having an issue, we let the neighbors know, hey, we're here. Here's our main line number. You can call or text us at any time, and we'll help with any situation that's happening next door. Again, does not happen very often, but it does sometimes.
Yeah, and to kind of coattail off of that and target specifically bachelorettes, my biggest complaint about bachelorettes are two things. One, glitter. Whoever invented glitter, literally, oh my word, glitter it does not come out of hardwoods. It gets in the cracks. It gets absolutely everywhere that you would not even imagine. That, and there's always one girl in the group that's crying, always, and she ruins our pillowcase. That's literally, those are my two
But we have
complaints.
really good washing machines.
Yes, we have great washing machines, yes. But honestly, most of these people come to Nashville for Broadway. They're not in these houses partying, they're on Broadway partying, and then they go back home at 3 o'clock. They end up passing out in the bed, and then they wake up, and they go do it again. I mean, that's literally all they're here for. If you don't believe me, just go drive by Broadway. Don't go to Broadway, but go drive by Broadway, even at noon on a Monday. It is wild, you guys, it is wild. So, I hope that long-windedly answers your question. Great. Okay, so you'll also start seeing too, this is a 2-bedroom example, the swings in value start getting bigger. You've got same locations in town, but 51,000 up to 62,000, so there's $11,000 you know, kind of range there. A 3-bedroom, kind of same situation, the gap's getting bigger, 63,000 to 86,000 top line revenue. And this is all based off of historical data. We're not just pulling this out of nowhere, we're not even using AirDNA. AirDNA doesn't take things into consideration like we do. This is actual historical data that we